up and smell the coffee while you still have a newspaper to read along with it. Some 2 decades ago, Canadians were concerned with how government could best help its citizens. We looked around at countries with comprehensive social welfare systems and envied them for their cushions of comfort, for everything from universal medical care to national day care. We were a country that held individual freedom in high esteem. Surely we thought it was possible to take the best aspects of socialism and weave them into the fabric of a free society. After all, this was a democratic Canada and not the Soviet Union. Over the next 20 years, we developed an extensive social support network at both the federal and provincial levels of government. The government spent money on every conceivable program. We spent and spent and spent. Still no one was ever satisfied. The spending even now continues unabated, and our national deficit today stands at more than $45 billion. How about ours at $4.5 trillion? When you adopt an extensive government agenda, you soon discover that all the entrenched programs and layers of bureaucracy become impossible to budge. Much of the population works for the government. About one of every 4 Canadians now draws a government paycheck. 1 out of 4 Canadians.
That's the way it is here.
Yeah. And people learn to depend upon the government, and all governments, even those whose leaders warn against this dependency, learn to love the power that flows from it. As for the threat of individual liberty, newspaper censorship is frankly the tip of the iceberg. Government intervenes in our lives constantly, and individual liberties are abrogated in new and ever more imaginative ways every day. Canadians who dare to get a haircut or a car tune-up across the border are being photographed and prosecuted on their return to Canada. Why? Because they have secured these services without having incurred the 7% goods and services tax slapped onto our ever-burgeoning provincial taxes. Even insurance plans are now taxed. A black market has sprung up, mainly in liquor and cigarettes, which carry the heaviest taxes. Don't think the taxes will end there, though. Once it takes hold, monopoly by government soon spreads to near every aspect of your life. In the Toronto area alone, we have 6 separate municipal governments and 1 super-municipal government, the mother of all local governments, called Metro, which exists to oversee the others. Our entire educational system up through the university level is governed by a centralized bureaucracy called the Ministry of Education, which dictates what can and cannot be taught in schools and how it is to be taught. Universities are government funded. I realize that the issue of government-run programs is particularly important to you because of the state of your healthcare system. I sympathize with you completely. I cannot imagine a world where one can be left bankrupt because of illness. But the stories you have heard about us are largely true. It is not uncommon to pick up a newspaper and read about the frightening wait for cancer therapy here in Ontario, and the situation is no better in other provinces. There is a shortage of the most advanced diagnostic technology. You know, under socialized medicine, they get $25 per patient, regardless of whether they treat them in 5 minutes or 5 hours, they get $25. Thousands of health care cards that ensure access to medical care have been issued erroneously. We do wait 2 hours for an appointment, booked most weeks in advance, so we do that too. Despite our world-class doctors, many patients can't get treatment in time because of the overcrowding. When you are faced with life and death medical situation, you don't mind paying whatever it costs. Under the government-dominated medical system, however, you can't even buy your way into unless, of course, you go to the United States. The sound of the air raid siren on my TV has stopped, at least for now. As the politicians love to say, this is my defining moment. Writing is my great love, the part of me that can never be censored. This letter was difficult to write, and no one up here knows that I have written it. All these issues are just too personal, they are too professional too. I am employed in an administrative at a prominent Ontario university that has historically enjoyed a high degree of autonomy. Last summer, my president wrote a letter to the staff explaining that the government had expressed an intention to take a more active management in university affairs. He describes this as an enormous threat to our free-thinking institutions and the end of government treated for now. As I sit here tonight, it is simply beyond my comprehension that such a well-intentioned and beloved country as my own could go so far astray so quickly. And it is the more remarkable that it has taken place without grand conspiracies or intricate plots. To those who would dismiss me as an alarmist, I issue this invitation. Read our newspapers, watch our news broadcasts, what is left of them, and see for yourselves. Prove me wrong, I wish you could. When you make critical decisions about the role of government in your life, please think about me, about this letter, and about Canada. Really think about what it could mean when you hear about a government initiative that sounds too good to be true. Thank God for a free press, even when you find yourself criticizing the media for broadcasting stories that you would rather not hear about. The recent publication ban is not the first one. There are others, and their numbers are growing. Listen and learn, America. Cup your ear to the wind and hear the blood-chilling wail of the sirens, of the whistles that drip down your border. That was really good.
Is that also from July 3rd?
What?
Is this both those from July 3rd paper?
Both of these, this one is July the 4th. And
Very
they're both...
very appropriate date.
Yeah. It is.
The Register?
Pardon?
The Register?
Yeah, the Orange County Register. Okay, I'm going to read you a couple of poems here, and then I'll open this up for questions. This is my favorite one, and this says, I love this too. It says, our country, right or wrong, when right, to be kept right, when wrong, to be put right. And this states, this was actually written by a slave, and it says, power concedes nothing without demand. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet protest agitation are men who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and without lightning. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both, but it must be a struggle, because power concedes nothing without demand. Find out what people will submit to, and you will have found the exact amount of injustice and wrong that people will allow to have imposed upon them. These injustices will continue until they are resisted with either words or blows or both. The limits of the tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. And this is my prophecy. Think about that. The limits of the tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Until we start fighting back, until we start bitching at our government officials, until we all say we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore, they're going to continue to get away with, oh there, he's got a great idea. Is that to hang the politician?
Not illegal.
Oh. Sword you with a weapon stand?
And recyclable.
Okay. Well, this is my prophecy concerning the IRS, and it will come to pass. In a country that holds freedom as a sacred right, millions of Americans are enslaved from January to May to a group of monetary vultures. In a country that holds life as a sacred right, the IRS has been responsible for countless suicides. In a country that holds liberty as a sacred right and has no debtor's prison, the IRS has imprisoned thousands of innocent Americans who broke no law. In a country that holds happiness as a sacred right, the IRS has instilled fear and has created financial devastation for millions of Americans and has destroyed countless marriages. In a country that holds property ownership as a sacred right and justice as a sacred principle, the IRS has stolen millions of precious homes and property that our citizens have struggled all of their life to obtain without a day in court and without just compensation. In a country that holds truth as a sacred right, the IRS calls red green and unrefuted lies truth. In a country that holds God in supreme reverence, the IRS performs ungodly acts, terrorizing Americans on a daily basis. Is the IRS un-American? Their actions say yes. If, in the name of God and country, all freedom-loving, righteously indignant Americans stood firm and fearless against the bluffs of the tyrannical IRS and their gross misapplication of the law, their corrupt and self-serving agency would cease to exist. Then all Americans, including those who now remain silent against the atrocities of the IRS for fear of retribution, Constitution will be dancing in the streets of America, singing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead." We have a marketing program that goes along with this. There's brochures in the back and there's books in the back. And with this marketing program, I want each of you to just take one responsibility. Share this information with 5 other Americans and have them do the same thing. We can spread this message across the United States in record time. I put the first networking program together for Sprint. They said, you can't sell discount phone service with network marketing. I said, give me a 30-day contract. Within 3 months, we saturated the market. Within 6 months, they had to literally shut down and expand their services. Not only can you sell discount phone service with networking marketing, I believe with all my heart and my soul that we can free America with networking. Just 5 of us, let's circumvent all of the typical media roadblocks, and let's just have friends telling friends, patriots telling patriots what the truth is. Just share this book with them. It's a book that anybody can understand. And that's all everybody has to do. Just share it with 5 other people. We also have a newsletter called The Higher Truth. It comes out once a month, and it goes off where this leads off, and it gives you more success stories. This book is about all of the success stories. We hear enough about the horror stories from the regular media. This tells us the stories that they forgot to tell us. This tells us the stories of all the people that stood up to the IRS and won. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions now. Okay, back here.
Just a minute, yeah. So that we can get this on the recording, I'd like people that want to ask questions to come up here, please, and talk in the mic so that we can get it on the recording so that everybody can hear it. So let's form a line over here on this side.
Burn.
You guys are throwing money?
Go ahead.
Instead of a question, I have a comment. I want you to know, with my own limited knowledge, I'm on your side 100%. I think everything you said is great and wonderful. I have one serious objection, though. I don't feel the price of your book, I'm a printer, I know the cost of producing books, is in alignment with people's needs, and I think this type of thing should maybe go for $10, and I'd like to know why the price really prohibits its, to me, wide dissemination. I'd like to ask you that question.
Okay, absolutely. I believe that the $40 cost of the book is well worth it. I spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on accumulating information. This has all of the forms, all of the legal forms in here. We all know what legal advice costs. Not only that, part of the cost of the book is the cost of distributing the book. It's not enough to just have a book available for $10. We have to be able to get it out to the public. This is how many people have untaxed themselves? I want somebody here to tell me how much it cost them. How much did that cost? Yeah. $1,500. And it's anywhere between $1,500 and $5,000 and on. And I was the first person to say that's enough. Enough is enough. We're not going to be putting a price like that on this information. For $39.95, you have all of the forms. This is the first book to actually put all of the forms in here. And I'm absolutely not going to apologize for the price. I think it's a heck of a deal. 87% of everything that comes in for this book gets redistributed in the form of commissions. You earn $10 for every direct referral you make, plus 8 levels of networking decisions. Yes?
Now, why don't you just repeat it? I don't want to talk.
Okay. I'll repeat it.
You said that you had unregulated occupations that would have to be taxed. That implies that there are certain regulated
Basically,
occupations.
alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and wagering are just those occupations that the federal government deals with. Well, I can repeat their questions.
No, it takes up, uses up the tape.
Okay.
Form a line up here, and those that want to ask questions.
It's my understanding that we're still under martial law, that the martial law that was declared in Roosevelt's day has really not been repealed. Could you comment on that and the impact on your book?
Right, it has not been repealed. That's why we don't have access to our Article 3 courts right now. It's becoming increasingly difficult. That isn't really one of my areas of expertise. My expertise is really on federal income taxes and how they relate to the sovereign individual's right.